Hello, I'm Jessica Amir for the Finance News Network. Joining me now over the phone from junior oil and gas explorer, Pancontinental Oil Gas, is CEO Designate John Begg. John, welcome to the Finance News Network.
Thanks, Jessica.
So, John, first up, can you start with an introduction to the company?
Sure. Pancon, currently about 5 million market cap, is a company with a long history of generating high-impact drilling activity, primarily in frontier regions, and being a first mover coming into those areas and then reducing the company's cost exposure to big drilling projects through introducing bigger companies through farm outs. And they've been very successful in doing that, and they focus also on conventional reservoirs, which is an important distinction. I'm joining the board as part of the transaction with Bombora Natural Energy Pty Limited, which is completing, well, we expect to complete next Monday when the approval of the transaction goes to Pancon shareholder approval. So I'm a geologist by background, had great success over the years in finding oil and gas in commercial quantities in a whole range of jurisdictions around the world. And I certainly identify with Pancon's historic modus operandi, which is to go into places that people are not rating as perhaps as high as they should be, and getting big wells drilled to try to prove up those basins. And that's something that we're bringing through Bombora to Pancontinental with the view to getting a range of wells drilled before the end of this year. So building the portfolio up and regenerating that drilling activity in the company.
Sounds great. Now to your projects in more detail. John, can you provide an update on Namibia and California?
They're the project areas where the biggest potential for the company lies. Namibia, of course, is the subject of an industry-leading farm out to Tullow Oil, perhaps the premier explorer of Africa in recent years. And Tullow came into the project with a $100 million farm in, have funded over $34 million US worth of 3D seismic to identify a big range of oil-prone prospects, and Pancon are carried through that activity to the tune of 30%. Just recently, ONGC, the giant Indian company, has announced it will be joining the joint venture, and Pancon is hopeful that this is going to stimulate the drilling activity that we've been looking forward to for some time. In terms of the projects that Bombora will be bringing to the portfolio, in particular California, will be where the near-term activity is. We expect to be drilling 2 wells there this year. Both of those wells are going to be drilling on existing gas discoveries. In the one case, the first well, Dempsey, will drill a large 3D seismic defined prospect sitting beneath a producing field. We will own a share of the facilities there, so any success with the well will lead to immediate commercialisation of that asset, and we'll also be participating in an appraisal well of a very large high-pressure gas discovery called Telano. That has the potential to completely rewrite the value of the company if we're successful there. And again, as part of our strategy to reduce the drilling risk for the company, give us a higher chance of success, we're drilling for known gas. It's a proof of mechanical concept well, very exciting one. And we have other projects in that basin, that's the Sacramento gas basin, that if we're successful with either of those 2 wells, our other projects will be automatically revalued. So there's a lot of upside in those projects as well.
And what's your outlook for gas prices in California?
Well, one of the key reasons to be there is the opportunity to commercialise any gas we find very quickly. So you've got an enormous infrastructure there. California imports 90% of the gas it uses. It's an enormous quantity of gas, something like 7 to 11 BCF of gas per day, more than the Northwest Shelf outputs every day they use, and most of it has to come from somewhere else. So gas prices achieve a premium there to almost all of the rest of the USA.
Now to financials. John, what's your cash position, and are you funded for the rest of the year?
Cash position of the company now currently is around about $1 million of working capital. But as part of the transaction with Bombora, supported by Hartley's Limited, we'll be raising additional funds that will allow us to continue to add deal flow to the company and get through these drilling programs. We're mostly funded actually for the first well in the program already, but the additional funds will allow us to continue with the business plan and continue to build the portfolio, and if possible, introduce a third well, fully funded to be drilled before the end of the year.
So, John, when do you expect the acquisition of Bombora Natural Energy to wrap up, and what will be the makeup of the combined company?
Next Monday, 10th of July, so it's imminent, and proxies are coming in, very supportive of the transaction, so we expect it to be done then. The board will change. It'll be a 5-member board. 3 of the existing board members of Pancontinental will stay. There'll be Dave Kennedy as non-exec chairman. Barry Rushworth will stay, who's been the architect of what the company's managed to do in Africa, and he'll be there with Africa oversight. I will join as the new CEO, and with me, Marie Malaxis, who's a highly skilled, highly proficient development manager, and this fits our strategy of getting into early production, drilling appraisal wells that we hope will then lead to early development. And that's where Marie will play a very big role. So we're changing the composition of the board, maturing it, in fact, to reflect the advanced projects that we'll be putting the company into.
Last question now, John. What differentiates Pancontinental Oil Gas from other junior explorers, and what makes an investment in your company compelling?
Pancontinental is offering a portfolio of funded, exciting drilling projects for investors. Not only is there the fully funded farm out on the big oil potential of Namibia, and I think we can expect a very good chance to see that drilled by 2018. We're adding funded near-term high-impact activity that has an excellent chance of success. So the activity levels across a range of independent projects that shareholders will get exposure to is pretty exciting. And I don't think there are very many junior companies anywhere in the world that will have a program like we're going to have.
John Begg, thanks so much for the update.
Jessica, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the new Pancontinental.